In today's video, we're going to continue to talk about spin selling. So without further ado, let's just dive right into it. All right, we're inside of my computer. Let's go. Here's what we're going to cover today. First of all, some important things to remember: structure of a sales call, spin questions example, and then a summary at the end, right? Make sure that you subscribe, follow me on Instagram as well for important updates regarding the course. Share the course as well. I need your guys' help. You know this by now. Slight warning though, if this is the most important video in the entire course, make sure that you watch the entire video from the beginning to end. Don't skip around, don't fast forward. Pro tip, if you want to save yourself some time, you can watch the video on double speed. And the first thing that I want to mention is regarding this book, Spin Selling. Everything is built upon this book. And if you want to buy this book, you can go to maxpearson.com/spin. So let me just show you what that looks like. So if we open up this link, it will take you to the Amazon. Here's the book, here's the hardcover book, 24 bucks. Actually, what I recommend regarding this book is to buy the hardcover and also buy it as an Audible so that you can listen to it simultaneously. And to be completely honest with you, the book is kind of dense because they're talking, I think they wrote this book in like the 1980s, if I'm not mistaken, and they talk a lot about different studies and so forth that they did. It's still a must read. I still recommend that you buy it and study it and read it. But really, the core concept though of spin is very simple. And that's what I want to talk more about in this video as well today. But definitely make sure that you buy the book. It's going to make you a ton of money. If you invest 24 bucks into this one, you're going to make thousands and thousands and thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars back from this book, if not even millions, right? So definitely buy the book. Important to remember. So this is going to be a reiteration a little bit of what we've talked about in the previous videos, but this is worth reiterating. And I want to talk about this over and over and over again because I want you to get this into your head essentially, right? So again, the main goal on a sales call is to offer a solution to your prospect's problem. It doesn't matter how convinced you are that you have the right solution. The prospect must understand and believe in it to buy. So again, this is important. It doesn't matter how much you believe in it. You have to get the prospect to believe in it as well. And the way you do that is not by telling them. You can't tell a prospect how great your service is. That's what most people do. You know, they focus on features. They're trying to sell different features. It's called feature selling. You know, we do high level because of this. We do ads because of this, and yada yada yada. You're just trying to sell a bunch of features. You want to sell value, and the only way that you sell value is to identify a problem and need that the customer have, and the way you do that is by asking the right questions, the spin questions. This is the core of everything when you do sales, and when you combine the spin selling together with a pitch deck that you've now created, it's the most powerful way you can do sales for a social media marketing agency or any type of business, in my opinion. And it's also the easiest way to do it, right? So understand your prospect. By asking the right questions, you want to identify the current situation, problems, and needs your prospect have. Telling your prospect how great your solution is like 2 out of 5. It's not that great. It's okay. It's 2 out of 5. It can work sometimes. But having the prospect telling you how great it is, that's 5 out of 5. So yeah, we talked about this, like if you identify a problem by asking a problem question, if you identify a problem that the customer or the prospect has, you might see the second, third, or fourth consequences, like the ripple effect of that problem. But the customer might not see that, right? So instead of you just telling the customer, like, have you thought about this? That, you know, by having this little problem, you're also getting those problems. Have you thought about that? That can be powerful, but it's more powerful to have the prospect a part of that solution. So even if you see those problems, you want to ask the prospect the questions to guide them through those problems so that they themselves, you know, identify them, because it's so much powerful than when they feel that they're part of the solution, that their light kind of goes off, right? So you don't want to tell them, but you want to ask questions. So yeah, it's super powerful. So don't tell, ask. The main thing a prospect wants on a sales call is to feel understood, tell you about their situation, problems, and needs, because the only way you can have a solution for their problem is if you understand their problem, right? Or if you understand the problem. And I've talked about this before, I'm going to reiterate it again. I've been on multiple, hundreds, if not thousands of sales calls myself as the salesperson, but also as the buyer. And the worst experience you can have as a buyer or potential buyer on a sales call is when the sales rep doesn't allow you to tell the buyer or the salesperson what you're looking for, or because when you come on a sales call and you're going to buy something, the first thing that you want to do is just tell the salesperson what problems you have, what needs you have, what you're looking for, and then you want the salesperson to create a custom solution for you, right? It's like when you go to a tailor. The tailor just doesn't throw you a bunch of clothes that they think that you like maybe I don't want a blue suit. I want like a black one, and I want a specific type of tie and a specific specific types of shoes. But if a salesperson comes to me and just tell me, hey, you should need this, you're gonna get this, awesome, let's go to the checkout, I'm gonna be like, no, I don't want this stuff. But the salesperson or the custom tailor who like asks me first what I'm looking for, he takes measurements of my arms, and then it creates something custom for me with the colors that I want. Now we're talking, right? And this is how you want to think about it when you do sales as well. So you want to ask them, and the worst thing you can do as a salesperson is to talk over the prospect. You want to ask them questions and also make sure that they feel understood, make sure that they can voice what they're looking for, and then you listen to them, take notes, and then you basically create your presentation and customize the presentation to them, and also retell the story to them, back to them, that we're going to talk about in the next video as well. The next thing I want to talk about is that we all sell differently, right? So we all have different personality traits and personality types. So don't try and be somebody else. Don't think you have to be a certain personality to be a master closer. Just leverage your natural talents. Just be yourself. If you jump on the call, just be yourself. Just smile the way you smile, laugh the way you laugh, just talk the way you talk, interact and move the way you move, right? It's going to just leverage your natural talents. So yeah, don't try to be somebody else. You could be a master closer exactly the way you are, but you need to operate within a framework, right? You need to kind of know how to do the sales, and that's what I'm going to teach you exactly how to do here in module number 4, right? And then finally, leverage media buyers, right? So find a media buyer with experience in your niche. We've already talked about this. Leverage their system, testimonials and case studies in your own sales presentation, a matrix hack. If you have no past experience, you're self-powerful. So you should already have gone through this. You know, we created your pitch deck in the previous video, and this is just to reiterate it, that definitely leverage the media buyer. They can be worth gold, and they are worth gold essentially, right? So now let's go over the structure of a sales call here again, right? So video call, do all of your sales calls using Google Meet or Zoom or whatever you want to use. We recommend Google Meet in this course. This allows you to show your face, share your screen. Even if your prospect doesn't show their face, you definitely should. It builds trust and lets their guard down. And I can tell you, if you don't share your cam, your prospect is most likely definitely not gonna share their cam. And it's very powerful if your prospect is sharing their cam and showing their face, because when you do your presentation, you can see kind of how they interact, how they move. You can see if they kind of, you know, raise their hand if they want to say something. You can see if they're listening, if they're distracted, if something is going on. So it's very powerful to be able to see the person that you interact with, and the potential prospect and buyer, they want to see you as well. They want to see that you listen. They want to see if you're distracted or if you're not listening to them. They want to see that you smile, that you agree, that you don't agree, you know, or that you shake your head, right? So you must show your face on your sales call, because if you don't, it's going to be weird, because then the prospect is going to sit there during the entire sales call and being like, why doesn't this salesperson like show his face? Is he hiding something? And I've also been on sales calls where the seller didn't have their cam on, and immediately I'm thinking like, why doesn't he show his face? What's going on here? Is he like hiding something, or like what's going on? So you don't want those ideas to come up, but you should show your face, and just show up professionally, like a clean face, you know, smiling, have some water to the side, have a pen and paper in front of you, and just be professional, right? So yeah, that's it. And you don't have to like have a suit and a shirt like I do. I just wear it because I enjoy it. But for the longest period of time, I sold in a shirt. Also I had like a cap on with our like agency logo on. So you can look whatever you look like. Just, you know, show up like a clean and, you know, a clean person essentially, right? Small talk. Okay, so we open the call with friendly small talk, ask where they're from, what they've done this week, and etc. And we're going to go over this in detail in the next video, where I'm going to help you with the exact script. But this is just the overall structure, right? So some small talk, we set the agenda. So we ask if it's okay to dive into the call, explain how the call will go, set the agenda of the call, right? So basically what happens, you start the call, you're like 5 minutes early, you just make sure that your mic is working, your webcam is working, you have your water bottle ready, you also have your pen and paper ready. And you're sitting there and you're waiting like 5 minutes before the call will start. As soon as the person shows up, you accept them into the call, you have your cam on, you just welcome them, you know, hey John, how's it going? And then you just have some friendly talk going back and forth. You can just ask them where you're from, where you're calling from today. Like Florida, okay, we have some other clients here in Florida. I've never traveled today, I would love to travel. I'm actually in Sweden. You know, have you ever been to Sweden? You know, just do some friendly talk. If they have their cam on, maybe you can see in the background if they have like a something, an item, some art, or like a sports shirt or something that you can ask them about. If they have like a golf club on the wall and you're playing golf yourself as well, you can talk some golf, like just for like 1 to 3 minutes, just to, like, you don't like immediately dive into business, because you want to have some personality, talk going back and forth. Some people enjoy that more than others. Some people really enjoy it. Some people just want to dive straight into business, and you will feel that in the beginning of the sales call. If they smile and they love to talk, you will notice right away that maybe you can spend like 3 to 4 minutes talking with them here because they enjoy it. You can build rapport and so forth. However, if it's a person, having very short answers, and they're like, yeah, okay, now let's just go into business, right? Let's talk business. And so you do that, the small talk first, and then you set the agenda. And the way that you set the agenda, again, we're going to talk about that more in detail in the next video. But the way I do it is that once you've had a little bit of small talk, I basically just ask the person, right? All right, John, is it okay with you if we just dive straight into the call? So it's like, yeah, let's go. It's like, okay, now let's talk business. And then you set the agenda. And the way that I set the agenda is normally something like this. So, okay, John, like normally how I do these calls, I like to spend like just a couple of minutes first to ask you a couple of questions regarding your business, what you're looking for, what types of advertising you're doing right now, etc. Then after that, I prepared a presentation for you where I will walk you through exactly what we do from A to Z. I will show you exactly how our system works, how we generate leads and booked appointments and clients. Also show you some case studies and testimonials from our current and past clients. And then after that, we can discuss the pricing and the offer and all of that. Is that okay with you? And then he will say, yeah, let's do it. And that's very important that you set the agenda, because then you're creating the framework for the sales call. Now John will know that, okay, Max will ask me some questions first, then he will show me a presentation, and then we will discuss the offering and the pricing. Now both parties on the sales call, you or me and John, we both know how the call will go. Because if you don't set the agenda, what can happen is that John starts to ask me a bunch of questions first, or he jumps in and he doesn't know that I'm going to do a presentation, so he's trying to and the call just goes all over the place. So to have like a nice calculated call, just set the agenda and ask them if it's okay if we do it that way. And 99% of the time, they're gonna say yes. I would almost say 100% of the time, but there's always that one person. I can't even remember when I have that last person. If it's a serious buyer and you've qualified them to the call, 100% of the time they're gonna agree to the agenda. It just makes sense. But if you have an unqualified person on the call who is just an unserious person, they might just be a headache and say, no, I just want to know what's the price. And if they ask you that, either you just tell them, reiterate the agenda again, or you just tell them, hey, I don't think this is a good fit, we don't do sales this way, etc. But if you have a good prospect, like a qualified prospect on the call, it will never happen. And they have the VSL, you also have the questionnaire before they book the call right in the calendar, so you should know that it's a qualified prospect before you jump on the call, right? Then after that, once you've set the agenda, you dive into the spin questions. So you go through your spin questions, make sure that you understand their situation, problems, and needs. In the next video, I'm going to give you a script regarding this. And again, all goes back to the spin selling book, right? So again, make sure that you buy it and read it and study it and listen to the book as well. Then pitch deck. After you've done the pitch deck, or spin questions rather, you dive into the pitch deck. And so you basically ask for permission to share your presentation, share your screen, and go over the pitch deck. And I also want to mention regarding the spin question is that as you go through the spin questions, the reason why you want to have a pen and paper very handy on your sales call is because as you ask the person the questions, you want to take notes of everything that he or she is saying. So let's say, for example, your first question is, okay, John, so tell me a little bit more about your business, right? Then he or she, or John then will tell you, yeah, okay, we started in 1978. It was my grandfather who launched the business, or my father launched the business. Then I took it over. We now have a new partner inside of the business as well. We're actually launching it as a franchise, and we're expanding all over the States. Yada 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 yada, right? Our current, and he will tell you a bunch of things. And the one thing you want to do when you have pen and paper is just to write down notes on everything. Okay, he started the business in 78 or whatever I said. It was his dad who launched it. He now has a new partner, and they're going to make a franchise. So I might just write 78 franchise partner in 2002, whatever that might be, right? So I just have notes on everything that he's saying from top to bottom. So I have like a storyline of everything that he's telling me that is worth noting. I'm just taking notes of it, because what I'm going to do later is that I'm going to retell this story to John, just to prove to him that I've listened to him, and also show to him that I understand everything that he's told me. All of the problems, desires that he has, and the needs that he has, and what he's looking for, and what he doesn't looking for. I will have notes about that on my paper here. So then after I've asked him all of the spin questions, I can just tell John like this. So, okay, John, so basically what you've told me, okay, so you started your business or your father started your business in 78, then you got a partner in 2022, now you're thinking about doing a franchise, you've tried pretty much everything out there, you've hired a bunch of agencies, you tried Google, you tried some Facebook ads as well, you're currently getting leads for X amount of dollars and booked appointments for X amount of dollars, and then you just basically retell the entire story. And you might have been sitting and listening to him right now for like 10 to 15 minutes. And yeah, he's basically been talking for 15 minutes and you've been asking questions like in between, right? And when you retell this entire story to John, he's going to be, first of all, very impressed because you remember everything that he told you like 15 minutes ago. You remember what year he started his business, that it was his dad, and John has most likely even forgot it himself that he told you all of this. So he's going to be very impressed that you actually remember all of everything, and you could do this very simply by just taking the notes, right? And then he's also like unconsciously, he's going to like you a lot more because when you retell the story, I'm basically proving to John that I've listened to him. I've listened to everything that John have told me, I've listened to. And also I'm retelling all of his problems and everything that he's done in the past. So I'm understanding him as well. I understand everything and I remember everything and I understand everything, all of the problems and everything that is done and that what doesn't work. And that is important because the only way that I can have a solution for John, a custom tailored solution for John, is if I understand his problem, right? If I understand his situation, what he's looking for, I'm listening to him and I'm actually listening to him for real because I remember it and I can retell everything to him. And it's a very simple thing to do if you just learn how to take notes, essentially. So this is the biggest thing you can do in sales, or one of the biggest things. It's to listen and take notes, ask the right questions, and then retell the story back to him. It's super duper powerful. And people will sit there and they're like, yeah, if they have their cam on, they're sitting there nodding and you can see that they're impressed, that you remember everything, but you've just taken notes. So that's that. And to retell the story, and then you basically ask them like, okay, is that about right, John, or did I miss anything? And they will tell you, yeah, that's perfect, that's everything. Or then he might add something or whatever that might be. And then after that, you basically tell them, okay, I think that's all my questions for now. So is it okay with you if I share my presentation with you? Is it okay if I tell you some more about what we do? And then you basically open up the pitch deck and go over the presentation, right? And then finally, after the pitch deck, you do the Q&A and close. So during your pitch deck and during your presentation, and also after the presentation, you will naturally get questions that you will have to answer, right? And also at the end, go for the close and schedule a follow-up call if needed. So if you don't close the sale immediately on the call, you know, we all sell differently. I normally don't do the sale on the call because I don't want to have that high pressure thing. I don't want to like force people into a sale and have like incentive-based pricing where I tell them that, you know, if you sign up today, you know, you're gonna get $2,000 off. Some people do that, some people like it. I don't like to use it when we sell in the agency. So normally what we do is that we just agree, I give them everything, I even can send them more material after the call, and I'm just about like providing them value and showing them the exact value that we can provide, tell them the price, and then I just follow up with them afterwards. And yeah, when you do a professional sales call like this and you have a pitch deck and all of that, and you do everything very, very custom to that person you're talking to, they are going to respond to you. Most of them are not going to ghost you because you've put in so much time and effort to them, so they're almost going to feel obligated to get back to you with an answer, essentially. It's just different styles of selling. I'm not telling you that you can't do incentive-based pricing and that you shouldn't like close on one call. If you're like, if that's your natural talent, if you're just a great salesperson that you can close right there, then and there, then go for it. But don't feel like you have to do it that way. And also, as you do the presentation again, make sure that, you know, look at the person if they have their webcam on and kind of see when, as you go through the presentation, make sure that you give them some room to ask questions if they have any. So pause sometimes during the presentation and just ask them like, you know, any questions regarding that, John? Any questions regarding the case study, or any questions regarding the system or the retargeting? And just give him the chance to speak, essentially, because a lot of people are like too polite to interrupt you. And that's also why I say, before we dive into the presentation, I always tell them like, hey, like feel free to interrupt me during the presentation if you have any questions, right? If you don't, I'm just going to continue with the presentation. So like tell them that you want them to interrupt you with questions if they have them, right? So spin, let's talk about spin some more. So spin selling is a sales methodology where reps organize sales calls using questions from 4 different categories. We have situation questions, problem questions, implication questions, and need payoff questions. So situation questions, it's basically questions that you use to understand their current situation, about their business, current advertising, etc. And situation questions are they're very powerful and useful for the salesperson, right? If I'm trying to sell something to you, let's say I'm trying to sell a pair of shoes to you, a pair of new running shoes, let's say. And a situation question from me to you would be, for example, okay, so what type of running shoe do you have right now? Yeah, I have a pair of Adidas right now. All right, so how much do you run every single week? Yeah, I run 2 to 3 times per week. Okay, for how long? Approximately like 45 minutes. All right. And so what type of shoe are you like looking for? Or like what don't you like with your current shoe? That's like, situation questions / a little bit of problem questions as well, right? Those questions are very important for me as the salesperson to gather some data, but they're quite uninteresting for you as the buyer because you already know that, right? You're not here in a store to tell me about like how long you run every single day. You're not that interested about that. So you want to ask a few situation questions, the most important ones, but you don't want to ask too many situation questions. And then problem questions are, for example, like what problems do they currently have with their advertising, or what do they need help with? So again, if I'm selling you or trying to sell you a shoe in a store, I could ask you, all right, so what don't you like about your current shoes? And you might tell me, yeah, they're starting to get worn out, or I've heard, I'm having some pain in my knees, and I've heard about my friend who's a really good runner that it might be due to the shoes and so forth. So and then I might ask him, okay, so like, is it like the sole that you don't like, or does it feel weird when you run? Or yeah, it's like the sole is kind of, it's kind of weird. I'm kind of leaning when I'm running, right? So problem questions are kind of answers or questions that you ask to identify problems. And then implication questions, right? It's basically questions to make the problem bigger. So again, if you sell a commodity like shoes, you can ask implication questions, but it's more so in high ticket sales, especially when you sell social media marketing services, right? But an implication question, for example, if I'm trying to sell you a shoe, would be, for example, okay, so all right, so an implication question could, for example, be, again, it goes back to the problem question. So first of all, I ask you, okay, so what don't you like about your current shoes? Well, the sole is kind of worn out right now. Okay, and why do you think that's a problem? That would be an implication question. And then he could tell me, yeah, for example, I'm running right now. It's starting to get winter. It's starting to get slippery outside. Also, the sole is kind of worn out, so it's like it's not that great. It's kind of soft sole. And first of all, it doesn't give me the best grip because it's just worn out. And then secondly, I'm kind of leaning when I'm running because it's more worn out on the one of the side of the shoe. And then I might ask him as well, okay, so what do you think that affects your running in any way, shape, or form? And then you might say, yeah, actually, like, I think first of all, I'm having some knee problems, and I haven't really thought about this, but my right knee is actually starting to hurt quite a bit, and it might be due to my shoe. And I actually had a friend who told me about that as well, but I'm not sure. And then I might ask him another implication question. Okay, so if you have a shoe that is kind of worn out and you're getting pain from it, how do you think that's like affecting your running? Well, obviously, it's getting worse and worse and worse, and I'm getting more pain. And that's not good because I actually have a training lap here in like 2 months and I can't hurt myself. Oh, so you actually have a training lap in 2 months. And okay. And you don't want to hurt yourself before that. Okay. What do you think happens if you continue to run with these shoes that you have right now? Well, obviously it's not good. Okay. That's perfect. All right, so that's implication questions. You identify a problem and you make it bigger and bigger and bigger. Because that's very powerful. Because now what you can do is that you've built up pain in a certain area, and now you can leverage that to sell something, a higher end product. So let's say I could tell you something like this. Because now I asked him questions, right? Now I know what shoe he's had in the past. I also know what problems he have, and now I can leverage that to sell him a product. So let's say I have a super high end Nike shoe who has like a Yeah, so it could go something like this. So, okay, John, let me tell you what. So I have this shoe up here that would be perfect for you, right? It's built for athletes who are actually like serious about running, who are running longer laps. It has a super good sole for like it works during the winter, but it's also very good during the summer. It has a little bit sturdier sole, so it won't wear down as easily. And it also has some support on the right side of the sole that would help you with your knees. It's actually built from this famous athlete called Yada Yada Yada, who had the same problem as you, and they actually built this shoe for him because he also had this. He was running kind of the same style that you're running on the right side, etc. Right? So I would definitely, you should definitely try this shoe, the Nike shoes. It's a little bit more pricier, but it will definitely hold you in the long run, right? So stuff like that, right? You can identify problems, make the problems bigger, and then you can leverage that to sell them something, right? And so that's implication questions. And then you have need payoff questions. So need payoff questions is basically that you identify a desire or something that they want, a positive thing. It's like the opposite to implication questions. And then you basically make that bigger. So instead of identifying a problem and identifying the negative ripple effect, you identify positive and identify the positive ripple effect. So for example, you know, instead of telling John how good this new Nike shoe is, you can just ask John like, okay, so what do you like this shoe? And he, yeah, I love this shoe. It looks really good. And yeah, so try it on. And then he tries it on, and then you can ask him, okay, how do you like it? Yeah, it feels really good. Like, okay, so what do you like about it? Well, you know, yeah, go up in the treadmill, try it out. And then he starts running with his new shoe. And then you can ask him, how does it feel? And he's like, yeah, actually, I don't have that much pain in my knee anymore. Right? Okay, and why do you think that is? Well, I don't know. It feels like I have more support on the right side. Okay, that's perfect. So how do you think this will benefit your running, right? Yeah, this is obviously going to help, right? He will tell you. Okay, and how do you think this could help you to run a little bit faster in the lap as well? So now you're asking him questions, right? Now you're building up the future that if he buy this shoe, he could potentially have better times and run faster in his new lap that's coming up. That's like textbook need payoff question. And you can ask more and more questions. You just dig into it. Implication questions, you just dig into the wound. Make it hurt, ask more questions. And then once you identify a positive or you show them the product or something like that, once you actually show them your service, your actual presentation, like ask them, so what do you like about our service, right? Now I'm talking about the SMMA. Yeah, I really like the retargeting. Most people would be like, oh, that's cool, and then they continue. But what I want you to understand is to have that spin in your head and then just ask them, okay, so what do you like about the retargeting? Well, you know, it's going to help us to basically be shown everywhere. Okay, and how would that benefit your business? Well, obviously it would help with us to generate more leads and yeah, anything else? Yeah, it would actually help us with the branding as well. You know, so you can help them to get the ideas and help them to be part of the solution. And I'm spending a lot of time talking about this here because I want you to start to understand how powerful it is to do spin and how powerful it is to just ask those questions. Just identify the situation, identify some problems, you know, use a lot of implication questions to make it hurt more, and then use a lot of need payoff questions to like ask them, how would this benefit you? And why would that benefit you? Okay, so tell me more about that. How would that benefit you? Right. So this is fun, like spin is fun, and I hope that you're starting to like light up with this, and I hope that you're starting to understand it because it's so powerful, and this is the way you do high ticket sales, right? When you sell a commodity like shoes, like you don't really need spin that much. It's very powerful if you're selling like more high ticket shoes as well, but it's especially when you sell more high ticket services like B2B, it's very powerful to use spin. So new versus experienced sales reps. So most new sales reps, they basically ask a lot of situation questions, too many situation questions. And experienced sales reps, they with higher closing ratios, they mainly focus on implication and need payoff questions. So remember that. So just the example that I just gave you, right? I'm asking a lot of implication questions and also a lot of need payoff questions. So John, like, how do you think this will affect your running time? Do you think this will help your knee? How would, if you get your knee pain away after running with his shoes, how do you think that will help you? Yeah, better time. Anything else? Yeah, like I will be able to like spend more time and go to the gym and actually start squatting again because I haven't been able to squat in my gym because I had so much pain in my knee. So you can find all of these different things by doing implication and need payoff. And more like new sales reps, they ask too many situation questions, which you shouldn't do. But it's a very common thing. So spin questions example. I've already gone through a ton of examples, but we can go over some more. So for example, so John, what's the main reason you decided to schedule the call today? You know, that's a kind of a situation question. You want to kind of understand what their situation is right now. Yeah, you know, we're looking for a new marketing solution. We're not that happy with our current solution, yada, yada, yada. So it's just a great open question to identify just their situation, but also you can get a ton of gold here. Like they might tell you everything here, all of their pains, all of their problems, and then you can dig in immediately into implication and need payoff questions here to kind of identify like the core thing, their core driver to why are they looking to invest money into advertising. Then just please tell me a little bit more about your business, John. That's also like a common like situation question. They're just going to tell you about their business. Not that interesting for them, but it's very important to you as the actual sales rep. What are you currently doing in terms of advertising right now? Also a situation question. It's important to you as a sales rep to understand that and identify it. But again, it's not that interesting for the potential buyer to just tell you about this, right? Okay, so what does your current sales process look like? Another situation question. Can also be very powerful for the salesperson when you sell social media marketing services, right? Situation question. And why do like a prospect buy from you another competitor? That's also like a situation question, but yeah, I would say that's a situation question, because now you allow the prospect to kind of to spread their wings a little bit, kind of tell you how good they are as well. And people, we love to talk about ourselves and how good we are, but we can kind of boost our ego. So it's just a nice question, and people can kind of tell you why they are different from their competitors. So you're kind of putting them on the spot as well to kind of qualify them some more, like, why are you better than your competitors? Like, why would we, like, you're not saying it, but it's kind of like, it's almost like you're saying, like, tell me why we should work with you. Like, why are you better than a competitor, right? And then another situation question would be like, where's your business right now in terms of revenue per year? And like, where do you want to grow this business to within a year? That's also a situation question, but you can also do a lot of need payoff questions on this. So, you know, where do you want to grow the business to within a year? Yeah, we want to go from $1 million to $3 million per year now over the next like 12 or 14 months. Okay, so tell me more about that. Why do you want to get to 3 million? Yeah, you know, more revenue, of course. Yeah, that would be nice. Okay, so what would you do if you got more revenue? How would you hire more people, or kind of what's your driver here? Yeah, definitely, I would hire more sales reps, and we could kind of scale the operations, and we could potentially even reach out to the new state. I actually want to go from Florida to help a little bit more clients in Texas as well. All right, so you want to grow to Texas? Yeah, you know, that's really my main goal here. I really want to go into Texas as well and kind of grow with multiple offices. You know, so by just asking those questions, you can identify their core drivers. They might not just want a ton of leads, but they want to have more leads so they can scale. And they don't want to make more money, but they actually want to scale into Texas. So now you know that, and now you can leverage that later. And so instead of asking him later, like, do you think this will help you to generate more leads? You can ask him like, John, like, do you think this marketing system can help you to like expand your business and potentially expand into Texas as well in 1 year? And he will be like, yeah. Okay, and do you think you could utilize the system for your new operation in Texas as well once you get there? Yeah, most definitely. Okay, do you think that will benefit your business to have like a proven marketing system in place for your operations that you can just use to scale in multiple areas? Yeah, definitely. Okay, why? Well, because A, B, and C. Okay, and then you can just start to ask more need payoff questions, right? Very powerful, right? Dig into everything. Dig into like what they want and what they don't want and their problems with questions, right? So how would things be different if you achieve that goal? As I just mentioned, dive deeper into it. And also, what's the main obstacle holding you back right now from achieving your goal? That's a problem question, right? What's the problem? Yeah, we're doing Google Ads, it's not working. Okay, so if you don't resolve this problem, how would that affect your business? So if you continue with Google Ads, how's that going to affect your business? Are you going to be able to branch out into Texas if you continue with Google Ads? No, I will not. Okay, why not? Well, because, you know, it's super expensive, and it's even more competitive in Texas, and it's going to be hard to scale with Google Ads, I think. All right, and so what have you tried? Have you tried anything else to like scale? Yeah, we tried lead gen sites and stuff like that. That's a problem question again, right? Okay, what did you like about the lead gen sites? Yeah, duplicate leads, very expensive, hard to scale. All right, so you've tried lead gen sites and Google Ads so far, is that correct? Yeah, okay, and it's none of them are working, right? No. Okay, but yeah, they're working, but it's expensive. Okay, so if you continue with both of those, what does the future look like for the coming 12 months? Like, how will that affect your business? Like, more implication questions. Just dig, okay? And yeah, so remember, you want the prospect to be part of the solution. You want him or her to tell you about the benefits or risks. You don't want to tell the prospect, like, you know, if you continue with Google ads and lead insights, it's going to hurt your business, John. You don't want to do that. He's going to be like, yeah, man, I know it's going to hurt my business. That's not the way to go about it. It's much more powerful if you ask John, how will it hurt your business? Yeah, it will hurt the business by these 3 things. Okay, but what happens if you don't solve these 3 things then? If you continue 6 months, what will happen then? And then you get him to think. And he's like, yeah, if I don't solve this thing now, then as I get more people into this, it's going to be even worse. Okay, and how will that affect things? Yeah, it will be a shit show, right? So you just ask questions, right? So it's 10 times more powerful to have the prospect tell you how great your solution is versus you telling them. Don't ask too many questions, or don't ask too many situation questions. Focus mainly on implication and need payoff questions and have a really good pitch deck. So the timeline, you do the small talk, really 1 to 3 minutes. Like 3 to 5 minutes it's actually a little bit too much. So I would say 1 to 3 minutes, you do some small talk, prepare the meeting, open up the Google meeting, start your camera, have the bottle of water, pen and paper for notes, welcome the prospect, smile and welcome the prospect. It's okay to be nervous, it will go away. We've already talked about these things. You know, spend a couple of minutes to get to know the individual you're speaking to, like where is he from? So you do the small talk. We talked about that in detail just a minute ago here previously, right? Then you set the agenda. So you set the agenda, let the prospect know how the call will go. And you know, I told you, like normally on these calls, we like to spend a couple of minutes to learn more about your business first. After that, I prepared a quick presentation that I will walk you through from A to Z, show you exactly what we do, how it works, client results, case studies, testimonials, our offer and pricing, etc. After that, we can take it from there and discuss the pricing and our offer and all of that. Does that sound okay with you, John? And you set the framework for the call, because now John will know, okay, he will ask me questions, then he will show me presentation, and then we can dive into the pricing and the offer, right? And then you do the spin questions, then you do the pitch deck, and then you do the Q&A, questions and answers at the end, and then you close and spend 10 to 15 minutes on that as well. And even if you don't close the actual business, or if you don't close the deal rather, then you should always close something. If you don't close the deal right now, you should close like a follow-up call. So you should, together with the prospect, you should schedule a follow-up call at the end. And so a total like 45 to 55 minutes, this call might take. Sometimes it's 30 to 45 minutes. It's very individual. Some people like to talk more. Some people, you spend more time with the pitch deck than others. So, but like 45 to 55 minutes, I would say, is like an average, right? And again, make sure that you learn more about Spin and buy the book. Definitely, you can go to maxpearson.com/spin to get to the right book that I recommend. The book that I have right here. All right, and rewatch this video if you want to and if you need to, because I've given you a ton of examples here, right? Like how to sell the shoe and different questions, and make sure that you understand Spin, right? The situation question, what is that? A problem question, what is that? An implication question and a need payoff question. And also you can play around with this in your everyday life. You know, for example, if you have a spouse or a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a daughter or a son or a mom or a dad or a friend or a cousin or a trainer or a teammate, whatever it might be, you can use Spin and just play around with it. You know, you can sell something to somebody without them even being aware. So let's say you're playing sports, just, you know, ask them like, how do you like these shoes that you have right now? You know, if you're playing football or whatever it might be, or soccer that you call it in the US, but football, we call it here in Europe, right? It is football. You can just ask your teammate, right? Yeah, I see that you have those shoes here. Like, how do you like them? Yeah, they're super duper nice. Okay, what do you like about them? Yeah, like I like these things. Okay, is there anything that you don't like about them? Yeah, like the cleats are starting to get like worn out, and the sole is kind of hard. You know, it doesn't feel that good. Okay, how do you think that affects your kick? Yeah, well, not that much actually, but sometimes it kind of hurts. Okay, but wouldn't it make sense if you had a shoe that didn't hurt? Yeah, like, do you think you would be able to make better kicks if you had a shoe that didn't hurt? Like, yeah, okay, how? Well, I could probably spin the ball better, right? So you can use Spin in your everyday life, and it's fun, and you can kind of use it on people and kind of, and just test it. Like, just test it. Or if you're, you know, everything is sales essentially. Everything is sales. So definitely start to learn this framework and play around with it. So summary, spin, understand the concept of spin, the different types of questions, understand why it's important to ask the right questions, and get the prospect to tell you about the benefits and the risks, right? Part of the solution, the whole idea about spin is to get the prospect involved in the solution. You can only accomplish this by asking questions. Super important, right? You have to get them a part of the solution. And then beginner versus pro sales reps. Unexperienced sales reps ask a lot of situation questions. More experienced reps ask more implication and need payoff questions, right? And then read the book. Buy it in physical and audiobook, the spin book. Consume it, study it, and implement it. You can go to maxpearson.com/spin to find it. Subscribe and follow me on Instagram for important updates regarding the course. Share the course. Tell everybody that you know that might benefit from this course. You will be handsomely rewarded for this yourself if you just spread the word. I promise you, it's just the way it works. Let's start a revolution together, change people's lives together. And here's today's quote from Neil Rackham, the actual author of Spin Selling. And he said, if you're getting a lot of objections early in the call, it probably means that instead of asking questions, you've been prematurely offering solutions and capabilities, right? So again, it's such a good quote. And this just goes back to everything that I've talked about in this video. Like, again, let's say I'm walking into a shop and I want to buy myself a really nice tie, let's say. And I go into the shop, it's a very nice shop where they're selling ties. And the guy is just, I know exactly what you want. You want these ties, right? I have the blue one, I have the red one, and I also have the blue and red one. And I have them in this specific material. They're going to look great on you. Let's put them on you right here. And immediately I'm going to have an objection. I'm going to be like, hey, first of all, I don't want these colors at all. I also don't want this material. I'm looking for this material. And I'm also going to be pretty pissed off because he's just throwing stuff off on me, right? He's wasting my time. It's like, what are you doing? He might even put it on my neck and put it on me like, that looks great on you. You should definitely have this tie. No, I hate it, right? So this is exactly what he's talking about here. If you're getting a lot of objections early in the call or early in the sales process, it probably means that instead of asking questions, you've been prematurely offering solutions and capabilities. So what this sales rep should have done, or the store owner should have done immediately when I got into the store, he would greet me with a great smile and he would tell me, okay, how can I help you today? Classic questions. Well, I'm looking for a tie. Okay, what type of tie are you looking for? Well, I'm looking for something with this specific material. I definitely like that specific material, and I want to use it to not this blue suit, but I want to have it to my gray one. And I've been thinking about maybe this color or that color, but I'm definitely open for some recommendations as well. And then he just, okay, I know exactly what you want. And then he might ask some more questions like, okay, how do you like them? Do you like them a little bit more thinner or a little bit wider? Yeah, okay, and what occasion are you going to use this for? Okay, are you going to use it every day? So you want it to has a little bit more, you can wear it and tear it a little bit more, or is it for like a finer occasion where you can offer some wear and tear for some finer quality? Like, what are you looking for? Like right away, I'm loving the store owner because now he knows exactly what I want. And then he goes back, he gathers information, then he goes back behind the desk and he brings me three or four different ties, 3 of the ones that I told him that I wanted, 3 different colors, 3 different materials, and then he brings one that is his recommendation, right? Now it's like, now we have a good buying experience here, right? So again, I'm going to repeat this quote a 3rd time. If we're getting a lot of objections early in the call, it probably means that instead of asking questions, you've been prematurely offering solutions and capabilities. Okay. Let that sink in. That is powerful, and this is how you need to start to think on your sales calls as well. Identify what the buyer wants and what they need, and then you give them a solution to that. Okay? All right, so let's get to work. I hope you enjoyed this video. In the next video, we're going to dive into the script and also some sales tracking sheets. It's going to be an awesome video, and I will see you there.